And that's all we're saying. We talked about that in the earlier episode when Superman becomes Clark Kent's kryptonite. You got to learn what to do with it because it ain't going nowhere. I think we make the mistake of trying to. We think we can make stuff disappear, traumas, whatever. This feedback that you get that you didn't like. We feel a certain type of way about it, and then we try to make that feeling just disappear. It ain't going nowhere. It's there for a reason, like you said earlier. But what do you do with it though? Right? That trauma that you try to forget about, it happened. You ain't gonna ever forget it. Can you work to use it in a positive way though? Can you say, well, that was my springboard to get into where I am now? Yeah. Or that let me know I was strong enough to survive. So this next little thing that come up, hey man, I've been through that before. I know this ain't nothing. Can you get to that point? I think we make the mistake when we try to make it disappear and then we forget about it for a while. Your mind can trick you. I forget about it for 5 or 6 months and I see something on TV, I hear a lyric in the song. I see a person out there that's going through the same thing. And now it stirs back up in me because I thought I was just going to make it disappear. You got to work through it and you got to do the same thing with.
Welcome to the Ep Cypher. Flow harder than the hands on Peter Piper. And now we would like to introduce you to your rivals. It's like Ali and Tyson. The hook miss with the liking. So nothing, Mr. Bison, Maximus and Leonidas. You were in the booth with Titans, goons, goblins, and Vikings. It ain't really nothing like us.
Yo, it's your boy, Courtney Anderson, aka Big C, one half of the L.I.T Code with Edgar Jones. The podcast where the menu is short and sweet, but there's plenty for your mind to eat. We're back with a brand new episode. Thank y'all as always for tuning in. We got out right now, John's episode right now. It's doing pretty good. That was a pretty exciting episode for us, and then we got another one in pocket for y'all before this one. But as always, we enjoy y'all for watching every single one of them, whether you watch it for 2 minutes or the whole hour. We appreciate you for your time. We hope we said something that can enlighten you, that could maybe click on a light bulb for you, you know, give you a better outlook on things. But today, we want to roll out the topic of feedback. Say that again to y'all.
Feedback. Feedback. However you look at it. Hey, I got a question for you, man.
What's up?
When the menu is short and sweet and there's plenty enough for you to eat, I ain't never asked you that question. Where'd that come from?
It just somebody, one of our little workshops we did, somebody told us we needed a tagline, and one day it just came out. So that's all. We ain't got a lot on the menu. It's like Cane's, man. We ain't serving up nothing but knowledge. That's all we got on the menu.
Man, you know what's crazy about menus that have very little on it is that you know what you're gonna get, and they ain't trying to confuse you at all. So there's a restaurant in Fort Worth. Man, I forgot the name of it, but I went to it only once. But it's down close by TCU, and it's a Mexican restaurant. And man, this restaurant, I would probably say is maybe about 10,000 square feet, you know, probably a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower, but Mexican restaurant now, right? They got a menu and it's just one card with 4 different items on there for you to eat. Ain't no
entrees and
all these sides, different sides. And here's the thing about it, Court. Here's the thing about this. I got to find out the damn name of the restaurant. They don't take cards. They let you know that at the beginning.
Straight cash, homie. Random mouse.
Hey, they don't take cards, right? So when I went in there, my partners that went to SMU, they took me down there to eat. And as soon she bring the menu out, and I mean, man, by the time I glanced down half of the menu, that was it. It pretty much was self-explanatory, like what's on here. And then she made it very clear and communicated, we do not take cards, only cash. Then I thought in my head, it's a lot of cash running through here, bro. Because not only did they not take cash, but I also paid attention to the crowd. And you had some old, down to Fort Worth, they got Stock Show 1883. That kind of talks a little bit about Fort Worth. Fort Worth has a lot of history. And when you go down there, now we talk about skins and them lizards now. You get some real cowboys down there for real, Them boys got some hard starts and some hard buckles down there, so inside their restaurant, you had a bunch of a variety of different people. But I'm looking around, I'm like, man, it's a lot of people that's coming through here. That's a lot of cash they're making. And then I thought to myself, and I asked my buddy, I said, man, how long has this restaurant been? He said, man, it's been here as long as he can remember. Then I thought, I damn well know ain't nobody gonna mess with this restaurant because first of all, it's a Mexican restaurant, and then they only running cash. So I know there's some I know there's some individuals that's outside that do not have a problem. Do not have a problem with rearranging the meeting for you if they
and putting you on the menu.
Putting you on the menu. You know what I'm saying? So hey. I don't know, man. That's one of my tangents I go on sometimes.
It's okay. Because you know what's beautiful about that? What Edgar just gave y'all was his feedback on his experience at that restaurant, right? That's all feedback is, right? It's Webster defines it as the transmission of evaluative or corrective information about an action, event, or process back to the original or controlling source. Basically just meaning if when Edgar and I were playing football, if I hit him hard and he said, damn, or vice versa, right? That damn was his feedback from the hit. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. It's you experience something, you're going to have feedback on it, right? Just like Edgar did on that restaurant, just like I would going to a concert, right? I'd have some feedback on it. It's very important stuff because a lot of us operate off of feedback. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, because today you got social media, right? And so now some of us go put on the outfit and think we looking pretty good, and we put that picture up, and guess what we yearning for? Some feedback, right? We want to see some blue likes or some red hearts, some stuff like that, some nice comments, but you're putting it out there for everybody. Right. And so now everybody can give you feedback, even the people that don't like you. Right. We always say balance is a law that can't be transgressed. So for every like you got, it's going to be somebody who don't like you. Even some of the people who press like on there, going to be people that don't like you. You know what I'm saying? So it's not always best for us to react off of all kinds of feedback or everybody's feedback. I think it's important to limit where you take applicable feedback from. So if I'm going to apply this feedback, if I'm going to use this feedback to make adjustments in my life, I need to be getting it from a very limited source, right? Edgar talked about rumble strips. We talked about that in the episode. You only want to have a few of them. You don't want to have too many people that you taking feedback from. That circle should be pretty small, because what you'll find yourself doing if you taking everybody's feedback, well, you're going to be running around in circles, because you'll never be able to please everybody. It's going to always be good and bad feedback. The key would be, can I adjust when the feedback is relevant, right? So if it's bad feedback, but it's practical and it's true, like it's something I really do need to change, can I take that feedback without getting mad, without getting emotional, and adjust? And if it's bad feedback that I don't really need to be listening to, can I ignore it? That's a big thing nowadays. You see people all the time. No offense, you do what you want to do, but we got people getting sick and dying from trying to change their bodies or trying to change their smiles, whatever. They're trying to change so much stuff based off feedback that they've gotten in the past or that they think they're going to get in the future for making those changes, right? And it may be that the people in their circle who they should be taking it from loves them just how they are, right? Love everything about them. You know what I'm saying? Now, if somebody tells me, Courtney, my doctor tells me, Courtney, we just evaluated you. It's probably best for you to lose 40 pounds. Now, I can't go say, Doc, my wife like me as a big man. I don't need to lose no 40 pounds. He telling me lose 40 pounds, you're gonna have a heart attack in 2 months. I might want to take that feedback right and apply it and make the adjustments. It's real critical that we learn how to do that. It's this one thing you got to understand about it. Eric and I talk about this all the time. A lot of times when we getting that feedback from that circle, right, from those people who we respect it from, right? If they're telling you something you don't want to hear or you don't like, you got to remember they can only give you feedback. Remember I said in that definition, it's just coming back to the controlling source. You the controlling source on feedback that you're getting on yourself. So they can only feed you back what you fed them, right? Ain't no rules that has gonna come back to you because they digesting it, right? They're gonna be having a new baby soon. Congratulations on that. I remember with my daughter Tamaya, we went through about 6 or 7 different formulas because her mama didn't breastfeed. And the reason we had to go through them is because the first one gave her bad diarrhea, right? The second one kept her constipated. The third one was okay, but it was still diarrhea. She was having a hard time with it. The fourth one, she threw it up, right? And then finally we got to one where she had a nice clean stool in her pimp and she took it with her. All Tamaya was doing before she even knew what that word meant, before she could say a word, was giving us feedback, right? And then we had to make adjustments based off of that. But we were feeding it to her. You see what I'm saying? And so if your friends or somebody in that tight circle, one of your rumble strips tell you, hey man, hey, you might want to slow down on the bottle, bro. You was usually out of hand last week. Or, hey man, everybody ain't against you, bro. You might want to chill out. You're a little too edgy, right? Don't get mad at them. All they doing is giving you feedback on what you feel. You got to stop looking in the mirror, ask yourself, hey man, am I going a little too far? Do I need to adjust this? And 9 times out of 10, you probably do. So one thing about it, man, life's not they say life's like a movie, but when we going around living life, we ain't watching ourselves. You see what I'm saying? We can watch everybody else around us. You could tell your wife some of the stuff she does that may irk you, but here, she's just living. It ain't like she watching herself. Like, oh, I see how I am right now when I'm doing it, right? Y'all being husband and wife, you one of those in her circle that can give her feedback and vice versa. We just got to work on being able to take it, right? That's an ego thing, a pride thing. And sometimes you got to lay that to the side and make those adjustments. I'm going to pass it off to Edgar. Let him talk about it, but that's what we're talking about today, man, feedback.
Yeah, man, feedback. First, I'll talk about the part that you talked about, those emotions too. Because I think we're all guilty of, and I have been guilty of this, when somebody's bringing me feedback and just telling me what they're seeing and observing, I get mad about it or I get frustrated about it. And that emotion that I have, there's nothing actually wrong with that. Emotions are a gift. It was given to us for a reason. Mm-hmm. But I think the other thing is what do you do with that emotion? What do you do with that anger? What do you do with that emotion that's going on that's bothering you? And how does that continue to control your actions? You know what I'm saying? Court, you come give me some feedback. I'm bothered by what you give me. And then from there, I decide that I don't want to talk to you no more. And I don't want to talk to you no more. I don't want to deal with your wife. I don't want to deal with your kids. I ain't got nothing to do with you no more, right? So now what's happened is the feedback was given. I'm emotionally bothered by it. And then I carry that out by basically cutting off our relationship. You know what I'm saying? Simply based off you just telling me, hey man, I think you need to, watch out what you're saying on social media. Or, you're doing a little bit too much cussing on your videos. You got people watching, that's just feedback that's you giving me, and it bothers me, right? And I cut off our relationship based off of that. So I'm saying it to say that when people bringing feedback to you, if you frustrated about it, you pissed off, or there's a heightened emotion that you get at that moment in time, that's actually normal. What you do with it is critical, though. What decisions you make moving forward is important. Man, when I think about feedback, I always go back to sports for me, because feedback was critical. I mean, you constantly got feedback on a daily basis, whether you was in the weight room, whether you was walking down the hall, you saw your coach. Definitely when you was in on the football field, you was constantly getting feedback after you came to the sideline. Um, and then even when you went into the film room to study film, it was constant feedback. The thing about feedback is, at the end of the day, we all got blind spots, and there's certain things we just cannot see. So an example would be is, I think we chatted about this before, is a play happens, I'm on the field, 3 or 4 plays go by, and then there was one certain play where I may miss the tackle, or I may have had a bust assignment, and I go to the sideline, my coach say, Edgar, what happened? And I tell him what I saw and what happened. And then he tells me what he saw. The reason why he was asking that question is he understands he's getting it he's seeing it from one angle and I'm seeing it from another angle. It's the same reason why when we watch football film, they actually got 2 cut-ups of film. Corey, I think you know about this, but they got the angle of when you're looking at it from a spectator standpoint, from the side, and then they got an angle where you're looking at it from the end zone. So you're getting 2 different angles because it's showing you 2 different views of actually what's taking place. We all looking at the same thing, but we're looking at it from different angles. So football taught me, I would say it taught me on how to handle feedback because you constantly got it. I think sometimes I miss feedback. So I have to make sure that I make a conscious effort to try to seek it. Hey man, tell me if I'm wrong about this. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you're saying. Tell me if I'm out of pocket for what I just did or what I just said. And sports also teaches you how to take feedback as well. Because I had some coaches, man, that didn't talk to me like I was a child of God. You know what I'm saying? Like, they sliced and diced you, bro. Even I think about it as a kid, man, there were certain people that was around us that just told us what it was and said what needed to be said. And from there, you just took it with a grain of salt and you adapted, and you made your improvement and when you needed to make your improvement. The people I think about, man, that constantly gave me feedback, I always had to remind myself, for the most part, it was probably coming from a good place from them. They had my best interest because obviously there was probably something I was doing, actually something I was doing well or something I was doing not so well that I needed to probably adjust course or I needed to stay on course. That's the thing about it as well, because typically when we hear feedback, we think about it from the standpoint of what you're not doing correct. But also, too, it's good to get feedback about what I am doing right. Being able to get a better understanding of the things I need to improve on, because sometimes, because life gets so busy, because we're doing a lot of different things, we tend to forget of the things we've accomplished in life, the things that we are doing well. And there's nothing wrong with patting yourself on the back. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So I think, there is 2 sides of the feedback. It's what am I need to improve on, and actually what am I doing well. I did talk about those rumble strips, man, because I love rumble strips. The purpose of those rumble strips is to let you know if you're on the highway, if you're getting out of your lane, and it's gonna make that vibration sound and let you know you need to get back in your lane. Maybe because you're not focused, maybe because you're not actually paying attention. So we all need it, and man, feedback can drive your performance, dude. It's a way to keep learning as well. You have goals in life, but I think it's important to always have a growth mindset and to be a student and continue to learn. The only way I can learn is by collecting information. I've never been in a class where ain't nobody teaching me. Like, think about from, for any class that we attended, up through elementary, up to high school to college, you had to have a professor. There had to be someone in there teaching you on what that topic was and being able to give you information, and you're learning whether you agreed on it or not. You know, it's a two-way street on that. And I think sometimes as well, what we can do is, man, our spirit can be speaking to us as well. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think for me and my faith and how God has been working on me, dude, and how I've been growing my relationship with him. I can feel it at times in my spirit is speaking to me. You know what I'm saying? And hey, don't do this or don't say this. I tell you something I'm trying to work on is not cussing. You know what I'm saying? So that's been in my prayer, bro, just the power of the tongue. So because I'm dwelling on that and I'm thinking about that, there's something that stirs up inside of me that before I get ready to say something or cuss, it's like, all right, it kind of gives me that alert that, hey, this is what you want to work on. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to pay attention to, man, the signals that's being sent, the messages that we're receiving, and being able to sit down and really ask yourself the question, the information that I'm getting, is there some truth to it? And the truth hurts, bro. Sometimes the truth hurts. You know, there's certain things I don't want to see. There's certain things I don't want to hear. But if it's just what I'm doing, then truly, if I take it and continue to work on myself, all it's doing is improving me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the other thing about when we have people coming to talk to us about the things that we're doing, we need to improve on. We have to remember that if I'm doing things that's detrimental to my life, right? And there's certain characters. If I have things about my character that I'm doing that may have a negative impact on my life, I also got to understand the impact that it has on other people around me. You know, your significant other, your kids, your family, your friends, and your loved ones. So nobody's exempt from this. Me and Courtney constantly talk about, you know, the feedback and being able to give it and get it. You know what I'm saying? Really being able to receive and hear and listen. And that's just another part of growth. You know, and I think I'm assuming that we're all, the individuals that's listening to this, we're all on the path of being able to grow and develop, man. So
yes, it's at its core, it's like one of life's most important functions. It is our life's most important function, just from a anatomy standpoint, right? Our brains work by getting feedback from every other part of our body. So if I touch something that's hot, my nerves are sending a signal to my brain. My brain will say hot, right? And then it'll signal back for my hand to get the hell off of it, right? If you hold your breath too long, your lungs gonna signal to your brain, you need oxygen. So we might need to breathe, right? Walking, the world as we know it today, right? At nighttime, life, industry, work, travel, everything used to stop, right? Because the only thing you had fire, you had the kerosene lamp. And Edison started saying, well, if I could find a way to harness light, right, then maybe we could do some stuff at night. And then you start getting the light bulbs popping up, and boom, now we got people that work overnight. We can travel at night. We can do all this stuff. But he was getting feedback. The wheel was invented because somebody's feet was hurting from walking too far. You know what I'm saying? And feedback caused him to trigger up in his mind how do I make something to where we could roll around, making the wheel. So feedback actually drives action. And it's not just, I mean, that's just in life, just from a practical, just when you boil it all the way down to its most primitive form, that's what feedback is, right? That's how our brain works. But you can take it into life, you can take it into everyday life, and then you can take it into the workplace, right? especially if you're in a leadership role, it's always great to have open lines so you can receive feedback from your people on the floor. This is Edgar's lane, right? That he's into now. If if I'm not getting feedback from the floor, he said it earlier, you got your skybox view, you got your sideline view, you got a view from behind the play, you got all these different views. Why? Because one of our other episodes that'll come up later is because you have blind spots. And as a leader, if you're not working on the floor, just say if you're in production, you're not working on the floor, you're in your office and you're handling all this other stuff from upper management, it's probably best that you take heed to the feedback from your guys that are out there on the floor, because they can see what you can't see. Those are your blind spots. They can let you know. It's no different from backing into your driveway and you got a blind spot. You pulling the trailer in. 9 times out of 10, it's best to tell somebody to get out, to get where I can see you, and they'll spot you coming in. Because you can't see it. You can't see the tip of that trailer. You can't see everything behind you. Sometimes you need that feedback so you can get where you're trying to go. In the workplace, a good leader is going to take heed to his feedback. And Edgar said something important earlier. He's going to also give feedback to his people out there on the floor. And you want to make sure, if you're going to be giving them negative feedback, remember, balance is a law that cannot be transgressed. You better be giving them some positive feedback too, because people like to feel value, right? And then if you're not in a leadership position, you are on the floor, right? You do value that feedback from him, and you're gonna value him more if he takes the feedback from you. Nobody wants to be sitting out there doing a job and you're trying to tell somebody, hey man, if we do this, I think I can do my job better, and they ignore it. Sooner or later, you're gonna get burned out on that. And in this day and age, with the way things are set up now, post-pandemic, a lot more people willing to jump ship. Plus, it's just a whole nother generation that was raised a whole nother way, and they just not gonna put up with certain things, right? They already don't want to be there, and you're not taking heed to what they're saying. They don't feel value. Guess what? Somebody across the street of value might even pay them a little bit more than you can pay them, and they'll jump ship. But if you get some people that like being where they are, right, and they feel valued, it's another thing that comes from their feedback is loyalty, right? They'll go to bat for you. They'll go play for different organizations in the league. I can tell you that Ravens way, he was willing to pretty much die behind it on the field. Not so much in other places, right? Because sometimes it wasn't the same leadership department. They wasn't accustomed to getting the kind of feedback he was willing to give them, because that was just the Ravens way. But yeah, it drives action, man. And like I said, in your life, you can feel it. Edgar talked about his spirit speaking to him. All of us are born with that, man. We kind of get away from listening to that. And sometimes religion can kind of knock you off of that, because you aren't supposed to be hearing stuff, right? You aren't supposed to be hearing God. That's the devil talking to you. Sometimes it is, you know what I'm saying? But you get away from that internally. That's important, because that's really your connection, right, to a higher power. I don't care what you believe in, what you call it, but we connected to something else. It's another source out there, and sometimes that source speaks to you. Now, since balance is a law that can't be transgressed, guess what? If y'all want to call it God and devil, you connected to both, right? We yin and yang. We got darkness and we got light, and we connected to both of them. Our task is learning to ignore the feedback from that evil side or that dark side, and tend to take more feedback from the other side, right? And then to start leading our life more on that side of things. But it's natural, like Edgar said earlier, those emotions you get, natural. We said in the early episode though, if I get feedback and I'm taken aback by it, right? If it bothers me immediately, if Edgar calls me and say, man, I need you to step it up on the L.I.T Code, and I'm like, what do you mean step it up, right? If I'm emotional about it, it's best that I don't respond right then, right? We talked about shaking up a cold drink. Dr. Pepper, Coke, whatever you like to drink, a carbonated beverage. You shake it up and you open it right then while everything's all over the place on the inside. When you open it, it's gonna be all over the place on the outside. So when we respond and we all over the place on the inside emotionally, and we respond right then, we're probably gonna make a mess, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I want to tell you. Those emotions are gifts, but you have to know how to use them, like Edgar said. Now, what I would say do is, I got passionate about what he told me. Now, what you do is you put that passion into doing better, right? You put it into doing better. If Coach Smith told me I cheated him on them last 2 reps on the last set, well, that next time, I'm mad because he said it. Then next time I'm gonna try to bang these last 2 reps out, and I'm gonna give him 2 more, right? I ain't foolish enough to say, Coach, shut up. You know what I'm saying? So I better figure out what to do with these emotions and use them in a positive way. And that's all we're saying. We talked about that in the earlier episode when Superman becomes Clark Kent's kryptonite. You got to learn what to do with it because it ain't going nowhere. I think we make the mistake of trying to. We think we can make stuff disappear, traumas, whatever. This feedback that you get that you didn't like, we feel a certain type of way about it, and then we try to make that feeling just disappear. It ain't going nowhere. It's there for a reason, like you said earlier. But what do you do with it though, right? That trauma that you try to forget about, it happened. You ain't gonna ever forget it. Can you work to use it in a positive way though? Can you say, well, that was my springboard to get into where I am now? Yeah. Or that let me know I was strong enough to survive. So this next little thing that come up, hey man, I've been through that before. I know this ain't nothing. Can you get to that point? I think we make the mistake when we try to make it disappear and then we forget about it for a while. Your mind can trick you. I forget about it for 5 or 6 months and I see something on TV. I hear a lyric in the song. I see a person out there that's going through the same thing. And now it stirs back up in me because I thought I was just going to make it disappear. You got to work through it and you got to do the same thing with feedback. When you get it, now it's a process of working through that, right? And like I said, it's supposed to be small. In the workplace, you got your team. You got to take feedback from them. If you're an upper level guy, you got 3 or 4 supervisors under you. They take feedback from the people under them. You take the feedback from them, and then y'all work it out to make the adjustments. In life, you take that feedback from your few people, you work it out, you make the adjustments. But you can't just make it disappear, right? You can't just, it's gonna come back up if you do that. You can't ignore it. So again, it drives action. What we want to do is learn how to take that feedback and make positive action out of it though, every time. And grow from, like Edgar said, he said the word grow. We also said on the previous episode, you can grow 2 ways, right? You know what I'm saying? Weeds grow way faster than, you see them people out there planting their lawn season, down there with the magnifying glass, clipping it, right? And then they look over here to the left, there's a big ass weed running about 20 yards through the grass. So you can grow both ways. We want to grow into the light, to the positive side, to the lit side. So remember that it's a process. Remember it drives action. Just be careful what action you let it drive when you get it.
Yeah, man, you touched on a lot of good things, dude. First things first, I talk about the leadership side of it. Because actually at the end of the day, we're all leaders. I mean, to some type of capacity. Leadership is just like saying I lead, I walk, I swim, I run, I lead, at the end of the day. So it's actually just, it's action, it's a skill set. And I think sometimes we look at leadership as it has to be on this big platform. But Court, you said this before, is what do you define? What did you say? What do you define as big, or what do you?
You make your own definition of big and success and all that stuff.
You make your own definition of big and success, right? So everybody that's listening, man, there's a brother or a sister or aunt or uncle or coworker or a lot of people that actually look up to you. that watch what you do and listen to what you say. So you have to remember that. You have to remember that you are in a leadership role. Even your kids, um, they looking at and paying attention to what you're doing and what you're saying. And even if you don't have kids, maybe it's your neighbor's kid that you hang out with all the time, that you just took underneath your wing, you mentoring. Leadership is still leadership. We're all leaders in some type of form or fashion, whether you want to wear that hat or not. Because at the end of the day, you do got people that's watching you. So that's something we all need to continue to work on. The other thing I'll say is that from a standpoint of kind of going back to, we talk about the anger side of it. And this is also something else I'm trying to work on. Man, being quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. You know, if we've done anything as a society that we became really good at, is making impulsive decisions. We got a Sonic the Hedgehog, Speedy Gonzalez, road runner mentality, dude.
Hair
Go,
trigger.
go, huh?
Hair trigger.
Hair trigger.
Yeah.
Beep, beep. We go, 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 go. So, and we buy things fast. We respond fast. I mean, you go to the gym, you see people work out fast now. You know what I'm saying? We all do that. We all do that. And I'm constantly trying to work on being quick to listen to me and slow to speak, dude, and slow to anger. You know what I'm saying? And when you're getting that information, just actually listen in for a second and taking in what's being said. And I think even, I'm not going to say I know, even if you start to work on it just when people bring you information, being able to just be quick to listen and to think about what you're about to say before you're going to say it. Think about your actions and what you're about to do before you're going to do it. That actually starts to turn into just, and it starts to roll over and become just other habits you formed in your other way of life. It's crazy because the more I've been sitting on that and thinking about that, quick to listen, right? Being slow to speak and slow to anger. How I'm making decisions now, I'm usually kind of sitting there thinking about it a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, let me, especially if I got the time to think about it, let me think about this before I go buy this. Let me think about this before I go say this. Let me think about this before I go do this. But it had to start somewhere. You know, if I wouldn't constantly remind myself of that, and if my prayer went to of that, then I don't think I would have been aware of doing that. You know what I'm saying? So when you get that information, just be quick to listen to what they're saying. You know, some information you're getting at that moment in time ain't cause for a response. It just ain't, man. It ain't cause for a response. You know what I'm saying? It ain't cause for a response. It may not be the proper time for you to respond based off of where you at emotionally, what you got going on, what call you just got off of, who made you mad, who frustrated you, who checked you at a red light and cut you off. You know what I'm saying? That you get, and then you want to you responded on some feedback that somebody gave you based off of what somebody did to you 2 days ago. And that person is giving you the feedback ain't got nothing to do with that person that did something 2 days ago to you. I've done it before. I've been in a situation responding to something that somebody told me, and I'm mad, I'm frustrated, but I'm dealing with something that happened a month and a half ago. You know, so the art of just listening and being slow to respond, man. We all can definitely improve on that. And the other thing I'll say is with the technology side of it, really that goes back into the point of how technology has made us very impulsive, quick, fast, boom, send something, um, you know, and we forget how fast information travels. You know what I'm saying? How fast information travels, man. You could make a post, and if depending on the post or the video you put up, man, it has the potential in an hour to reach 500,000 people, a million people. You know what I'm saying? Think about some of the stuff we've seen on the internet when someone's gotten shot or even something that's funny, how fast things travel, how fast information travels. But what I can control, the two things that we all have control of is that we could control the decisions we make. You know what I'm saying? And how we spend our time. That's it. and how I respond to situations. You know, how I respond to the situation. And you're gonna fail at times, man. But I think also too, the question you got to ask yourself when you fail and making these mistakes, and we got to ask ourselves, because me and Court included on this as well, is what's my return on failure? You know, just like when you invest money, you say, all right, what's my return on my investment? What's my return on failure? Like, what am I learning from the mistakes I've made? Have I learned something from that? And am I making sure that the things I have learned from it, that the actions I'm putting into place, I'm not repeating the same things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So what's my return on failure? And even if you don't know what you learned from the mistakes you made, first thing, the important thing you're doing is you asking yourself the question. You know, being able to ask yourself the question, and just kind of stew on it for a second and think on it for a little bit. And eventually at some point in time, something will pop up. There'll be different things that come up to you. You know, whether you take heed to it or you listen to it or not, that's on you and that's on us. But just asking yourself the question. That's what silence does, man. That's what, even when people are like, man, I'm bored. Man, bored and being by yourself get you to start asking some serious questions and do some reflection. You know what I'm saying? Which is, again, that goes back to the feedback that you're actually getting from, you know, yourself on certain situations. Hell, I think about it as a dad, you know what I'm saying? My daughter that I got now, my first daughter, she's 14. I failed at that relationship with her mom, and I was not at the right space and the right place to be a dad at that time. I just failed at that, man. That's all on me, you know what I'm saying? So when I look back on it as a father, you know, and when I got it, there was a lot of times I tried to avoid that and not ask myself those questions of like, truly, was I being my best? And was I living a life that gave that relationship a chance and gave my daughter a chance? Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? But I started asking myself those questions and being honest with myself is when I sat down and spent time with myself. And that was scary. You know what I'm saying? That was very, very scary because there was a lot of soul digging that I had to do. But so, yeah, man. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm like Mike Tyson. I don't know, man. I don't know. So
yeah, we got to remember that you yourself, we are walking balls of feedback. How I act around people, how I speak, how I react, what I say, how I dress, right? My voice, all of that is feedback to somebody, anybody I come across, right? I mean, some people, they at certain levels in their life where they kind of wild and rambunctious. They giving off that to me, that feedback to me. That's how they are. I'm probably gonna get away from them, right? Ain't no knock on them. They just in their part of life because somebody got away from me at a certain time in my life. So I was putting off some feedback that probably wasn't the best. You see what I'm saying? Amaya gonna have feedback from whatever she felt from when you was living that life, or y'all not being together. For both of y'all, she got her own feedback, right? That she gonna give back to y'all now, here and there. Like, it's just part of it. Once you accept that, though, once you know that, then, like Edgar said, what's your return on failure? How are you growing from that? Once you understand it, do you slow down before you react? Because you hear people calling people a hothead, right? That's feedback based off what you fed, though. You gave off feedback, they took it, they regurgitated it. You're not in control of nobody else's feedback. Like Edgar said earlier, we're only in control of our reaction, our decisions, right? That's what we're in control of. Right? We're not in control of nobody else's. And sometimes you're gonna be doing everything the way you're supposed to do, and there's still gonna be some negative feedback out there. You just gotta have a good filter on you, right? That to know that that feedback don't really matter. I'm gonna filter that out. I ain't really worried about that. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll never please everybody, and that's one of the biggest qualms I have about social media. It's not social media. Social media ain't the problem. It's us and how we react to it and how we use it, right? And how we let it affect us when we get that feedback. A girl can put up a picture and get 100 likes, right? Look good, but the two frowning faces are the people who this a big thing now. I do it to bother my daughter sometimes. She'll put up a picture and everybody else love it, put the heart on it, and I can put a like on it. And that really bothers her. But I do it so sooner or later it shouldn't bother you, because how, like, that really don't, you know what I'm saying? It really don't matter. But she's taking that one little piece of feedback, right? And saying, well, he liked it instead of loved it. And she'll let that bother her. We shouldn't be that moved by this stuff. It's people that have taken their lives behind stuff off social media. It's people that fall into depression behind stuff off of it. At the end of the day, man, it's simply feedback. Like I said earlier, if I touch this mic, top and it's hot, my nerves will send a signal to my brain. It's gonna give it feedback to say hot, and I ain't gonna touch it no more. That's all it is. It's just feedback. Eric also said that we're all leaders. We are. And even if you don't have kids or you don't have nobody that's watching you, I hope you're leading yourself, especially if you're an adult. So if you, whether you like it or not, you're a leader. You get up in the morning, ain't nobody else telling you go in there and brush your teeth, wash your face, get dressed.
Right.
Don't go outside naked. You telling yourself that, so you're a leader, Jack. Whether you like it or not, you leading yourself at that point. So, and you also giving yourself feedback throughout the day, right? But just I want everybody to be aware of that. Really, be aware of it. You're a walking ball of feedback. You really are. How you act, how you carry yourself around people, right? Edgar and I have infectious personalities. We meet a lot of people. It's a cliche that says you don't meet many strangers. You don't meet any strangers. He never met a stranger because we can talk to anybody, right? But if we came off as brash, because we're not small individuals. Edgar's a 6'4", 250-pound African warrior. I'm about 5'10", 320. Hunk of a man, Boris Levert. Big old bearded country boy. So if I came off brash and Edgar came off brash like we don't want to be bothered, guess what? We wouldn't get approached. And guess what they could do? So we going into a lane where us being approachable is can be lucrative for us. That's business, right? If we wasn't, we'd be cutting ourselves off right there. You never know who you're about to meet. You can be meeting a multi-million-dollar stranger tomorrow, right? And y'all link up but if you giving off a certain kind of feedback while he around and he watching you, yeah, I ain't fooling with that. Right. So be aware that everybody be aware that how you carrying yourself, what kind of pictures you putting out there, what you saying, how you talking, right? How you coming off. Like it's going what you listening to. We always say what you put in is coming out. Right? You give out feedback out of your actions based on what you listen to sometimes, whatever you're taking in, what you're watching. So just remember that we are feedback. So maybe that'll help you, right? When you're going out and you're about to respond, you're about to act up, maybe that'll help you say, well, you know what, I'm about to give off some feedback. I don't really want to give off. I don't want nobody to remember me like that, right? Because sometimes that's all people remember you by, man. It's people that had great careers and stuff and done all kind of great things in the community, and they had a bout with addiction, and all people remember them is, because it's gonna be some people out there like that. Oh man, he was a crackhead though. Now he done beat it. He ain't been on nothing for 30 years, right? He done gave millions of dollars back. Yeah, they probably sitting in something he bought, right? In the arena he bought. Yeah, he was just a crackhead. People gonna be like that, man. But don't you let them, don't give them that. Don't give them that. So we give them that most of the time, right? So watch what you're giving people. Watch the feedback you giving off, and then watch what you do with the feedback you get. Let it drive some good action, man, on both ends.
So we get ready to close this thing out. My question to you is, who do you have giving you feedback to help you grow? because I know you want to grow, and I know you on this path of growing. If you didn't, you wouldn't be listening to this. You would not be listening to this. So what individuals do you have in your corner? What person do you have in your corner that's helping you identify your blind spots, the things you can't see? That's a critical question we all got to ask ourselves. Where your spotter is. You got a spotter in NASCAR racing. I ain't gonna start talking about that, but yes, I will. The spotter's objective is to let the individual that's on the track know what's up ahead. If there's an accident, if something just happened, and he's at a lot more higher, he or she is at a lot more higher position to be able to see what's going on that the driver cannot see. That's the objective, and that's the purpose of having a spotter in NASCAR racing. So who do you have giving you feedback?
Yep. And what kind of feedback are you putting out? One more thing, though, Eric, since you mentioned it, you started it, spot on the racetrack. You know that back in the day, on big ships, they had a watchman, right? That was situated way above the sails. He'd look out and kind of tell people what he was seeing. And then later on, when they started getting radios, the people that had already went through the routes to kind of tell people, radio into him and tell him what was up ahead so he could let the captain know. It's been told, it's famously told that the captain of the Titanic ignored his watchman that night. The information that was relayed to him from his watchman, he ignored it. Mm-hmm. He'd been sailing longer. He's seen those waters. He sailed it 100 times. He knew what he was doing. So what he did was neglected that feedback. I don't want it. I don't need it. And then he popped the iceberg. And we know how that story ended. Right. So that's how important it can be. Especially when you putting people in position. Like I said, those main people, I designated you. I delegated this authority to you to give me feedback. And then when you give it to me, I ignore it. That can be a dangerous, dangerous game. Especially when I put you in place, you're supposed to be giving it to me. Now I don't want it. We see a lot of people, big time stars, start to ignore those people close to them because they get other feedback from yes man. All good feedback ain't always good either. That's why you need to watch who you're taking it from. You got to have that good filter, right? That good radar to let you know, man, they say yes to everything I do. And I know some of the stuff I do ain't. Michael Jai White said it on the Vlad episode. I'm going to close it out, but Michael Jai White said he used to do it on purpose. He'd come home, act like he drunk, talk noise to his mama when he was getting money and famous, and everybody just let him do it. And he said he had to have a talk with him. Like, man, y'all say money change people, but it really changed the people around me because y'all letting me get away with stuff y'all shouldn't be letting me get away with just based on the fact that I got money now, right? So he was getting good feedback from, oh yeah, Mike have fun, boy. He like, Mike get drunk, boy. He like to have fun. Yeah, boy, Mike, you tell your mama how it is. Talk back to your mama, Mike. All because they wanted something from him. So sometimes that fake good feedback ain't good. You got to be able to filter that out too. But make sure you picking good rumble strips, like Edgar said, man. And you taking that feedback and you're doing something good with it. And I'm going to shut up now. So this is the L.I.T Code.
We out.
We out of here.